All right, good evening and welcome to September's Wills webinar. I'm really looking forward to this evening because we've got an incredible guest for you, and I'm really looking forward to her downloading her wisdom on to you and sharing that with you. So welcome, my guest, the one and only Shari Teigman.
Thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
So for those of you that have already noticed, Shari has got an accent.
I am not the one with the accent, Essex. You are the one with the accent.
And it's a Canadian accent, isn't it?
It's actually like Midwest.
I know how much
it's Australian.
But so Shari, where are you right now?
I live in a little suburb right outside New York City. I'm about 15 minutes outside of New York City, the Big Apple.
Big Apple, and thanks to the wonders of technology, you're able to be online with us this evening, which is great. But I'm in Essex, but Essex isn't unfamiliar territory.
No, it's my second home. I am in the UK a lot. Weirdly, I don't know how it happened. I'm based here. I live here. I'm a single mom of 2 kids, but most of my current audience is over in the UK. So I head over a few times a year, speak on stages, run live workshops, hang out with my clients, get lots of in-live hugs. So I'm in Essex a lot, and I'm a big fan, even though I don't have fake tan and wear white shoes, but I do love Essex.
But you do still dance around your handbag.
Exactly.
All good. So, Shari, for those of you that, or for those people that maybe don't know much about you and maybe haven't been blessed with your wisdom via social channels or seeing you at live events and things, what is it you do?
Good question. So tagline, which I'm not a fan of, but I throw one out there. I'll give you the tagline and then I'll give you the real story. So my tagline is, which is true, I help the non-average Joes and Janes of the world to help get them unstuck in their lives and businesses and help them unleash a maverick life. So the truth about what a maverick life is, and you and I are going to get into it because it's the topic of the day, is, you see so many disruptors and rebels, and for many of us entrepreneurial types, or even those who just don't like to play by the rules, think that the extremity means they need to be these disruptors who run around in life raging against the machine, going counterclockwise to everybody's clockwise. And while I am a natural rebel, I don't think that's what it takes to create change in your life. Disrupting to a degree, using that dopamine hit, using that adrenaline to lift yourself up and out of where you don't want to be, absolutely. But it's not sustainable, Will. And I know that you believe that and teach that as well from the angle that you do. It's about reining in that power and then using it. So there'll be times where there's more push and hustle, and then there's lots of times of flow. But understanding who you are in relation to who you want to be and building that on your terms without asking permission, without constantly measuring about where you are on the spectrum of what's out there, really makes for more individuals in the world, more successful businesses, more sustainable mindsets, and something that the achievements that truly belong to you. And without that, it's why we see so many people rise and fall so quickly, because they're riding on something that doesn't belong to them.
Yeah, I love that. So we're going to be getting really stuck into that and unpicking that. But before we do that, guys, this is interactive this evening, okay? We this isn't just about myself and Shari having a nice chat and you eardropping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link in the comments. I encourage you to post comments, but ideally not in the Demio platform, but in the link which is in our Facebook group. Which if you're not in, if you click the link, it won't choose to join. You can join quickly because there's a thread, which if I click over here, hopefully this is going to work. Yep. The official thread post is set up where you can comment. I'll be monitoring it the whole evening. Ask any questions, anything that Shari says, anything I say you want to ask questions about, then we can do that. Because otherwise, if you ask questions in the box, in the chat box on Demio, when we close Demio, we lose all those questions, whereas here we get to keep them all and we can reply to answers and maybe direct links and stuff that we need to. So that's what's going on there. I just want to do a quick check for everybody that is online right now. Can you just let us know on that thread that I've what we've done there? We've gone the wrong way. On that thread that you can hear us both okay, because Kevin's just mentioned he can hear Shari but not me.
It's speaking loud. I think everyone can always hear me.
I haven't had any issues from anybody else just yet, but if you can post on the official thread, like I say, the link. Let me see if I can post the actual link. I'm sure I will be able to.
Louise says she can hear us both.
Let's see.
Harry can hear us both.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they can hear me both. So I'll just talk louder, Kevin, and then hopefully you can hear me. But yeah, so we're good. Yeah, Teresa is tuning in from Yorkshire, so it's great. So people can hear us. People are on the post. So Shari, I had the pleasure of you being me for.
I did the best I could.
An episode on our podcast, myself and Neil's podcast, Mindset with Neil and Will, and you spoke about the magic of thinking big as a book. So we don't review books, but we use books as sort of talking points about what we like about them and the lessons that we've taken from them and all good stuff along those lines. And we're going to be speaking this evening about the Maverick Way. So obviously you've introduced what a Maverick is. But what I'm always curious to know is, why is this something that you personally are so inspired to share with other people?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because for me, once I explain where it came from, it makes it more valuable for people to understand, why this is important for their life. So the person you see in front of you now is not the person that I used to be. Well, I was just underneath a lot. I went through a very rough divorce and very rough marriage. Single mom of 2 kids I am now. I was not at one time. Living a life that did not belong to me. And I had no idea who I was, what I wanted, and how to figure that out. So I embarked on my own journey. And in that journey, going through those dark times in my life, I knew that the person that I currently was at that time did not have the strength, the resources, the drive. Am I allowed to curse on here? I won't curse if I'm not allowed. Okay, thank you. Thank you, because it's hard without it. You're
a New Yorker, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's just like regular vernacular. I had nothing left in me to go out and find a new life. And then you see all these mindset people. And it's one of the reasons I love your work, Will, is because you're not this fake positivity thing of, just happy thoughts in your life changes. It doesn't. What it does for most people is scare the crap out of them more into submission, because they think, I'm in a pile of shit. I feel like shit. And now I'm supposed to know what to do with that. That's scary and overwhelming. So what I love archetype work. So for those of you who do not know, Carl Jung created this, I think in the 60s. It's just as a quick overview, the idea of characteristics that we all have within us, and we get to amplify them. That's Shari's short version, amplify them. So at the time I was going through a rough divorce and I was in court a lot. And little Shari, scared little bird, couldn't walk in there, powerful, couldn't handle knock after knock. And I'm raising these 2 little boys. I'm like, I got to figure out another way to be other than who I am, because I have no juice left. So while it may sound like split personalities, it isn't. We all have all of these elements inside of us, but it's about accessing, almost if you think of your brain and your emotions like a switchboard, and you turn up something in you that you need more of. So lots of people love the movie Inside Out, which was a kid's movie, but it's an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, I think it's a Pixar movie about emotions driving different aspects of who this little girl is. It was absolutely brilliant. One of the best mindset movies I've ever seen. So I embraced a character that I played. And you'll hear Todd Herman speak about this in his new book called Alter Ego, which annoys me because I was going to write it about my own way of doing things, but it's okay. It means there's value.
Do you know the thing that I found really interesting about Todd Herman? Do you know the thing about the glasses? Oh, how cool's that? I never knew that.
So Todd Herman wears glasses and they're blank. It's like very Clark Kent Superman thing. So he wears glasses, and if you see him regularly, he's friends with a close friend of mine, you go out to dinner with him, he's not wearing glasses because he doesn't wear glasses. He wears them. It's his performance area. So for me, I became the wild woman for myself. I made myself a Pinterest board, a playlist of music. I had to capture like one of those like crazy women with war paint on her face, like the wolves ran with her. I needed something so far out of who I currently was at that time so I could catapult myself into a different mindset, a different set of actions, and a new set of beliefs, even if just for snippets of time. So I recovered from that whole arena in my life. And then I had no idea who I was. I wasn't the wild woman, and I wasn't the old me. So very messily, I like to add, this is not a pretty journey for most of us when we do this. I started to try on different personas. I was wild. I was calm. I went to yoga. I went for yoga training. And in all of this, I found myself and then went to coach training because I said, aha, I remember, and this is very dramatic movie moment, but it is true. I was laying on my bedroom floor. I couldn't even make it to my bed. My kids were at school. And I looked up and I said, who's ever up there? I don't care who it is. God, universe, I don't care. A clown. If you help me get up from this place, I vow to never let anyone feel this alone or lost again. And Will, I promise you that was the day it started changing. Serendipitous things, because I don't believe in accidents, books landing on my feet in the bookstore. And I just dove into this rabbit hole of personal development and learned how we can take who we are and create a new us. And a lot of people will say to me, but Shari, that's fake. That's not who I really am. I'm faking positivity. I'm faking action taking when I'd rather, sit and watch Love Island and eat bonbons all day. We all have choices we'd like to make, but when you are stuck, you're making a choice to be stuck because you're choosing not to find the strength, not to find the answers, and not to find the tools that you need. When the right tools click into place, it's far easier to get unstuck than it was to get stuck. I think it's the number one fear for people. It took me, I've been like this for 40 years, Shari. I don't want to start doing the work, but the decision is instantaneous and then it starts to unfold. So when I stumbled, I was looking for something to stamp my name on, to own my mountain on of this archetype thing. And it wasn't Wild Woman because I work with a lot of men and that was too extreme for a livable life every day. So I started to write the characteristics that I embody out. What is it? I don't really care what people think. I love very hard. I live life on my own terms. I am an extremely collaborative person, and yet I need a lot of alone time. And I started to explore what those characteristics represented. And then I went and looked up the word Maverick. And on every time I run a workshop, my clients get a notebook, and on it has my definition. My brand is the definition of a Maverick. Individual, unique, eccentric, out of the box, deep thinker. And it's right there. I mean, you can open up the dictionary, everyone Google it after we get off, and you will see you can make this who you are. Now, I'm a very extroverted, obviously. This has nothing to do with introvert or extrovert. This doesn't have anything to do with speaking on stages in front of 600 people, or maybe it's just taking care of your kids at home or doing your job really well. This is such a broad word to own for ourselves, to say, who do I want to be that is bigger, bolder, brighter in my life? And how do I get there? Those are the only things you ever need to know. Where are you now? Where you want to go? Not looking what everyone else is doing, not comparing. Yes, we can take from inspiration other people's journeys and paths because it shows us it's possible, but it hardly belongs to them since it's new, or you're only getting one sliver of a picture of them. So I'll give you an example. It's an example I love to use. It makes people laugh and they never forget it. So you see me right now. I'm wearing a very professional shirt. I've got my makeup done. My hair, it's very frizzy here, so it's just all back. So I look like, wow, Shari really puts herself together. I do dress like this on purpose, but this is real life. I'm wearing yoga pants and no socks. And this is how I work at home. So the snippet of who we think somebody is to the full picture of reality, if I stood up, I would look ridiculous to you, that I am two halves. All of us are. So, as the wonderful Dr. DeMartini, who I know you adore, you're never all good and you're never all bad. You are not always kind. You are not always cruel. So I am not always dressed and I am not always in yoga pants. I am not always a maverick, but I have a destination of who I want to be. And every day I climb there and I stay there longer and longer. And I take my clients with me and I show them the real journey and the vulnerability of what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. We all have the same pile of personal development books on our night table. We will read them and put them down and still do the same shit every day because it's what we've decided our only road is. So the only way to change is to reverse engineer your plan of action. Otherwise, you're only using the tools you have. So you want to build something, you have one screwdriver, you'll get far, but not all the way.
Love that. And I think you've just in a very short period of time highlighted just one of the many things that I really respect in you, in that you're real. You know, there are a lot of people in our industry that are, how can I explain this? They don't show all sides of what's going on, the good, the bad, the different, and the good, the bad, the indifferent. And you certainly do. And I like to think
I am Marmite. You're either going to love it or you're going to run in the other direction.
Yeah, and like you say, to be able to see things as they are. So cool. So people right now that are listening and thinking to themselves, right, I want to be more Maverick. You know, there's people that I know personally that are on this webinar right now, and I believe that they are also Maverick. They're these people that want to go out, they want to do their thing, because let's face it, we're all unique. Every single one of us has got a different fingerprint on the end of our fingers. Some people are living more of their, and this sounds so like typical, like their authentic truths. Like, I know it can all sound a bit woolly and fluffy and whatever, but they are living more. I say more living more them. They're living more congruently to what it is they truly want to be doing. And I 100% agree with you about having the end goal. I refer to it as a North Star, and reverse engineering that trajectory and taking those steps and moving towards it. So people that want to do that, you've highlighted already that there's 3 things that we're going to be covering this evening, because obviously becoming more Maverick, there's an awful lot to it. I know you run these, the making of a Maverick, which are the live workshops that you run. And obviously we've only got an hour or so together. So we're going to touch on 3 elements. So one of those elements is how to create huge change, but kind of break that down. So do you want to explain a little bit about how people go about doing that and
Sure.
what that process is, Shari?
So I think that one of the issues that people get stuck at that fork in the road when they're ready for change, they want new results, they're tired of where they're at. You know, everyone on here, I nod at home because we've all been there. We're there all the time, even in our own growth, is, okay, I have a big goal. I understand what I want. And it's Tuesday afternoon here at 2:49 in the afternoon, and I don't feel very magical, Will. I don't really feel like doing all the stuff that I'm supposed to do. I have it on a to-do list on my very fancy planner that I bought that they promised me was going to change my life. And I remember writing it once in a while, and once in a while I meditate, and then I journal my gratitudes that I just copy from yesterday, because then at least I know I could check it off in their calendar. So commitment is a big thing to me. Big change requires big commitment and small action. I will repeat that. Big change requires big commitment and small action. It is a compound effect. It is unsexy. It is extremely boring. It is extremely tunnel vision when you're in it, because you have to do each step of building, each brick of the new habits, the new beliefs, getting up when you wobble. I think you guys call it snakes and ladders. We call it chutes and ladders, where you get up there and then you have one bad day and you decide you've got to go all the way down the chute again, because it must mean something's wrong with you. It worked for that guy, and he sat next to me at Will's workshop, and I don't know, I'm broken. So the navigation of understanding what it is you want and where you want to be, how you want to get there, and what you want it to feel like. I am a very emotions-driven person naturally. For years before I mastered my mind, it ran me straight into walls, because I would use the line, well, I'm very emotional. I'm just emotional. It's just the way I am. It's true. And I am still that way. It's how I'm wired. And now I know that my emotions speak to me. When I'm emotional, it's them knocking on a door to tell me there's a clue here. Go deeper, rather than hide from it, numb it, dive into it and sit in it. So it's feel what you're feeling and then break it down. Is this hindering me or helping me? Do I like the way this feels? If I do, how can I turn up this emotion? If I'm feeling a little bit of joy being around this person or being around this crowd or this new mentor, really there's something there, I will amplify it. I will maverick it up to say, how loud can I make that joy? How high can I make that vibration in the moment of what I'm feeling, so that my head is buzzing only with the good emotion? Because in good emotion, I could probably run a marathon with no training, because we're amped up, because we're in performance flow state. If I don't turn it up, I only get a percentage. So it's 10% joy. I'll get 10% results. Now let's take it to the flip side, because that was a pretty part of the story. Fear, overwhelm, doubt, indecision, letting old stories run the show, running those same things in your mind, the disbelief, the comparisonitis that many of us have in our lives and in our business. How much credence do you give to those emotions? Do you think that they are your natural state? Or can you say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, not I am overwhelmed? You as a person are bigger than any emotion that you feel. So if we've got a big change we want to make, we can't jump to a big emotion. What you need to do in each day is to take the small steps towards that amplification of who do I need to be to hit that goal? How can I create big change? How big can I get? So I believe that life and business scaffold, I don't think that they go separately. I've never seen it. I work with entrepreneurs every day. I've never seen it separated yet. So if my business is going like this, but I'm playing down here small, the business is going to topple right over me. Vice versa. I am knee deep in personal development. I chant everything Tony Robbins bless and tells me to do, and I'm completely ignoring my business, my relationship, my health, my family. Your business won't have anything to stand on because nobody's running it anymore, and there's no person who can be big enough for the business. So in the small steps, noticing how to measure your progress of, okay, great, 2% changes don't feel very good. You go to the gym for 3 months and you've lost 10 pounds, amazing, but you have 50 to lose. So 10 pounds doesn't feel very good. It's one notch on your belt. That hit, that adrenaline dopamine hit does not last long enough for you to sustain it. So the real question is, for that big change, living in the moment each day of what will that change bring for me? The visualization of how will I feel it in every day. I want to feel safe. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel loved. I want to feel happy. How can you make those feelings be created and amplified even before you have the result of that big goal? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, and I'm loving what you're saying, because it's so true. I think the question, logically, that always makes sense. The thing that I really want to know for these guys is that for people that want to heighten feelings, because a lot of people are still of the opinion that when XYZ happens, when I have XYZ, or when I'm doing XYZ, then my feeling will increase. So if someone wants to amplify a feeling of joy, so joy is obviously a very heightened happiness feeling, like at the absolute extreme. If someone's just feeling good, what's your process for them to heighten that feeling, to go from good to great, and then great to amazing to joy, and a pure bliss joy? What's your process for people to raise that for themselves?
Okay, so the way that I break this down, you're asking the perfect questions. I have something that I call the Maverick compass map. It's like my little, I'm not big on processes and structure, but this one stays with me, because when you're feeling like you're not where you want to be, you don't have time for the long philosophical crap. Again, like you said, we've all got the books, we know what to do, and then it's Tuesday and we don't know what to do. So the three things, there are 3 M's to this fueled self that gives you the results that you want, whether it's the money, the fitness, the health, the love, whatever it is. Measure it, map it, and move it. Okay, so first we have to measure realistically, and this is hard for people. They like to skip this part. They don't like to actually see where they are. So the example that I give you is, you go to an amusement park. You've been wanting to go all year to this amusement park. There is a roller coaster that you've read every review on, and you bought your tickets, you planned your day, you cleared your day from work, and you're at the gates right when they open. Gates open, everyone runs in. It's a massive amusement park, and you have no idea where it is. Some people will run around looking for it, and they can spend the entire day missing the one little nook that the roller coaster is, because they decided, well, I made it. All I needed to do was get to the gate and I'm good. Other people will go measure it. Let me go to the map, find out where I am in relation to where I want to be. So we have to tell a lot of truths. If I'm far away from the roller coaster, it's not a judgment, it's just data. Oh, wow, I've got a long way to go. So what people do here is, when they look at honestly at where they are, at their results, at the way that they think, at their habits, and say, Shari, Will, I don't do any of the personal development thing that I really pretend that I do. I journal a couple times a week. There's a little self-care in there. I live in a blaming shame game all the time. I know why I'm not getting my results. I don't really want to do anything about it. That's the most honest thing, that people won't do that. They believe, self included, I believe I do more of the stuff that I think I do because I know it. I'm not living it. So just because I know it, I think I can check it off. Like, oh, I know what to do. Well, did I do it that day? So even if you just take a week, take a journal and measure your moods, measure your food, measure your productivity times, measure so we have data to work with. You're running a Facebook ads. For those of you who like metrics, anything that's data driven, there's nothing that can be measured until we do some collection. So we first have to grab some data to find out, how are you living and being? Not only what are you thinking? Because our brains can confuse us by telling us things that are not true, both scary and exciting. Neither of them are happening, or not happening often enough to create that real change. So I can go to the gym one day and have an excellent workout and be really proud of myself. If I don't do it again for 3 weeks, then it's not surprising that I didn't get the results from one day. One day gives you 1 day results. 3 weeks gives you 3 weeks results. It's simple math, and it's maths, and it's simple metrics. So we first measure, and then we map it. So I've got the measurement. I know where I want to go. What are the changes that I need to do to create more joy in my life? What are the actions that I need to take to create more clients in my business? What are the beliefs that I need to have to know that I deserve love? Ironically, and not surprisingly, it is the same thing across life and business. Action, measure, behavior, habit built, again and again and again. And only will you know what's going on when you start trying it. So I can watch 10 YouTube videos on how to ride a unicycle. I can see exactly how they do it. I can watch it in slow motion. I can study it. I can take notes and do Da Vinci style scripts on all over my notebook. The second I get on a unicycle, until I know what it feels like to fall off, until I know how to get my equilibrium, I do not know how to ride something. It is the same thing with this personal development prep work that we do. I won't know that I am better meditating at night than I am in the morning until I try both. I won't know that I don't like to journal in a set journal, but rather I like free writing unless I try both. So what are you willing to map? What are you willing to try? And how brave can you be in finding out the answers to questions you've been afraid to ask yourself before? We don't know what we're up against until we find out. So I love when my one-on-one clients come and tell me that something didn't work for them. That's my favorite thing, because if our whole plan works, I get very bored, because then they don't have the data for what happens when it doesn't work. Who do they want to be? What are they really made of? How can they course correct? Course correction is our greatest gift as the most evolved mammals that there are. Everyone else, you can have a clapping monkey. He couldn't care less. But because we don't have the bravery and courage of proof, we're so afraid of failure and so afraid of success that we're wedged in these little holes of, as long as I don't move, nothing bad or good can happen. And then I could just whinge with my friends at the pub and nothing will happen, because none of us have to change. So when you start mapping it, you then get a little bit of that motivation and drive and say, wow, I've got a plan in front of me. I mean, you're a hockey player. So my kids are hockey players. Your coach can map out what a play is going to be. The second you see the plan, what do you want to do? You want to get your ass on that ice, because you want to put the plan and the map into action. If you go into a game and you don't know what the plan is, you'll go play your best, but you're not collaborating with any other players, which are players in your mind. You're not utilizing your energy in the best way. You're tiring yourself out, skating around in a circle, hoping something good happens. So with a plan, we then get the clarity and the drive to go put it into action. If I don't know what I'm doing that day, I can lose hours procrastinating. I can have my head up my ass. I could pretend I'm faffing around on Facebook, pretending that I'm working. I do the same thing that you guys do. When I have a map of where I want to go, the drive to
Hi,
get there.
friends. Good evening.
Sorry
This
about
thing's
that.
really, really bright.
No idea what just happened. Something just popped up.
Let someone else join us then. Hello.
Someone's happy. If I am excited about the map, if I find that roller coaster, I'm going to make a beeline for it, because nothing else will distract me. We've got to raise our motivation and drive to the level of what our fear is. So I can't say it'll cancel that out, but it'll take fear's hand and you'll start to move forward. Now, the last M is we did measure, we did motivate, we did map, and now we have to move. So a lot of people do this part and then they get stuck in the, oh, I don't know how to do it. I'm not sure. I'm not going to start until it's perfect. You must move forward every day. Otherwise, you move backwards. It is a fallacy to say we stay the same. We don't. We make things worse. And I don't mean to be disastrous like that, but it's true. If I don't take action on things, my fear will grow bigger. It's like ivy coming up a building. It doesn't stop halfway and say, okay, I'm done. It's going to crawl up and wreak more havoc. You will then bring up more old stories that fortify why you're not able to move. And then this new map and this new measurement won't matter because this non-movement, this inaction, will drop you down to have to start over again and remap.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So I want to make sure I get them.
Measure, map,
move. They're the three. So measure, map, move. So guys, at this point, I just want to say again, any questions that you have, ask them on the official thread on the Facebook group. I'm seeing a few people commenting of just saying hi and stuff. And I think one person's having a bit of an issue with connection, but everyone else seems to be okay. So yeah, if you do have any questions, then feel free to ask. So hopefully that's, so using that process, measure, map, move, enables you to create that big change. And like you said, the breaking stuff down and just doing the monotonous stuff, having the compound effects come to play, enables that big change to happen over a period of time. So
and
cool.
Also feel like it belongs to you. And I'm a big internal driver reminder of people. Everybody has an easy way of figuring stuff out if they're just copying out someone else's plan. Mm-hmm. But if it isn't internally led, you won't stick to it. So I could say, I'm going to be mini Will for a week and I'm going to watch his lives and I'm going to repeat what he says in my words and I'm going to do everything. Why don't I have Will's success? It's not working. There's something broken in the matrix. It's not mine. I also don't want to run like Will runs. I'm just putting that out there. I'm good. I'll skip that part of the success story. So if it's not internally driven to me, I have no reason to do it every day. Then I'm always going and measuring outside. And then that's when we overthink, when we worry about people's opinions too often, when we're constantly looking for permission-based movements and actions in our life, it still doesn't belong to you. When it belongs to you, there's nothing that will stop you because you've got your own inner cheerleader saying, we've got this. We know where we're going. We measured, we mapped it. Let's go. If I need outer help, I can call Will and say, Will, I'm getting stuck on this one piece. I know where I want to go. Here's what I've done already. Here's what I found. Here's my data. Can you help me figure out where my missing link is? And Will, because he's not in my head, he's looking objectively and can say, Shari, sometimes we get stuck here believing this and this. Why don't you try this? Perfect. That was the last cog I needed. High five Will and go back to my internal driver, to my story, to what I want. And then I can move forward in my success, in my wins, and in my course correction.
Love it. So we've had a great question from Teresa. She said, when you say measure, collect your data, do you mean collect what needs to be done, then map, tick off what's done and what works and what doesn't?
So great question. I would say yes and. So yes to that and. The precursor to that is I want you to measure what's actually happening. Map out your energy through the day. Map out what thoughts are coming up, good ones and bad ones. I'm not a believer that your journal needs to look like it's something that could be published. Everything should go in there. I actually have my clients have one whinge notebook and one regular journal. So all the bad crap that's sitting in there that is stopping and blocking the positive thoughts and the growth goes in the whinge journal. They can burn the paper. They can just keep it in there, but it's there anyway. We need a place to use it and to burn that fuel off. So the measurement, before we get up to what needs to get done, because those to-do lists can run our lives and then we feel like code monkeys. I want to know first for yourself, what's going on a day-to-day basis? What kind of results are you getting? How are you feeling? Are you liking what you feel? So sure, I can get a lot accomplished, but if it's a day that I'm feeling low, everything feels harder to accomplish. I want to measure that because it could be my sleep, my eating, a hard conversation I had at night. We end up learning our systems better, learning all the switches, so that when something goes wonky, there's not a problem with the plan. Is, oh, I know that trigger. I can adjust that without scrapping the whole plan. Then we can create a real what needs to get done.
So I'll choose a personal example of that. So I have a little black book, okay, and this is like my little journal. And I'm not a massive journaler of writing everything that I think. What I do write out is 10 things I'm grateful for in the morning. But the precursor to that is I write what time I've woken up, how I feel when I've woken up. Now, if I, and and this is where, again, I create the awareness, is when I write, I've woken up early, or I've woken up late, or I've woken up feeling a bit groggy, or I've woken up feeling great. I think, like, what was I doing the day before, and particularly the night before? What was I eating? Did I go to bed late? So sometimes it might be like I've got a love for chocolate. And if I've eaten a lot of chocolate the night before and I've overslept or underslept, I feel a bit groggy. If I'm particularly stressed about something, I can wake up feeling less motivated. If I know that I've gone to bed with lots to do still, so I haven't finished everything I wanted to do the day before, I can quite often wake up lethargic because it's been running through my mind all night. So I create this awareness by just writing that stuff down, and then I start to notice the patterns. So,
and then there's not a story around, there's a problem, there's this, you know what happened. When I measure that stuff, and then I look at the kind of day I had, I can just be objective without the emotion and say, oh, that makes a lot of sense. 2 nights ago, I had a bad night's sleep, and I slept for 2 hours. So unsurprisingly, yesterday was a challenging day. And of course, I had a very busy day. So it wasn't surprising that I was jittery and anxious through the stuff, and things were not going exactly how I wanted. Had I not remembered that I only slept 2 hours the night before, I could have judged the day. This is not the right client. I'm doing the wrong thing in my work. Something's not working with my marketing. I'm firing my team. Like, we do this stuff in our lives. I'm breaking up with my partner. I'm telling everyone to screw off. I mean, we can go that extreme because we get scared in the results that we get. And when we can find out that we are far more control of ourselves and our futures and our trajectories than we like to believe, because we have to then take responsibility for it, then we can correct it without causing chaos.
Yeah. So hopefully that's answered your question, Teresa. But yeah, I'm a massive advocate for measuring. You know, you can't monitor what you don't measure at the end of the day. So huge advocate for that. So you then mentioned, one of the things we're going to touch on this evening is activating transformation.
Okay, so there's a lot of information out there. You and I are both guilty of putting information out there too, because it is a gateway drug to actual transformation. But I like to call it spiritual masturbation. You can be very busy in the thinking about it and very not busy in actually doing it. So in order to activate this transformation, we need to be very honest, and we need to be responsible stewards of ourselves to say, okay, I'm putting a cap on the learning. And that's ironic because you're sitting in front of 2 people who live to learn more. We both know a lot, and it is never enough for me. I just got another box from Amazon dropped off with another 4 books. I could disappear into a hole with a pile of books and not know that I hadn't eaten in 4 days. I love to learn. But there's also a time and a place to stop the learning, stop the absorbing, and put the stuff into action. So like I said earlier, am I thinking or am I doing? Am I believing that I did something, or did I actually take action? Because many of us are such deep thinkers, or we turn things over, or I watched Will's webinar and then I hopped onto another webinar, and while I go outside, I went to pick my kids up, I listened to a podcast. There's so much information overload. At what point are you stopping and saying, these are my transformation points, until I utilize A, B, and C, I am not taking any more in. And it is one of the hardest things to do because we get lauded for how busy we are in our learning. Signed up for 10 seminars and I have the tag and I'm wearing the t-shirt, and I still go home and I'm a miserable git like I was before I left. You don't win any prizes by just having it on the surface level. So activating that transformation is, how deep are you willing to let these nuggets go? Where will you put them? And I'm a very physical person, so I can feel things in my body. If it's stuck here, it's a speech thing for me. If I let it drop in here, it's like, I'm not sure if it's for me. As soon as it lands in my stomach, I know it and I have become one. I am in that transformation. And it can move around in my body. Lots of times it gets stuck up here. When I'm chewing on something up here, I know I haven't implemented it. So be very mindful and take responsibility of that activation. You are the one with the wand, everyone who's watching. It is up to you. There's nothing you can Google or learn for free or paid that will not get you the results that you want. I am not in Will's group. If I went into Will's group, I promise you, if I would implement half of what he said, my life would be entirely different. We are content creators. We do this every day. There isn't another new thing we're telling anybody. We're saying it a different way for it to land for someone so they get that stomach land, that transformation point, that tipping point is, now I'm going to go do it. So how are you willing to go do what you're meant to do? And what will it take for you to make that commitment? Until you're ready to make that commitment, said with complete love, stop learning, stop trying, stop pretending to yourself, because you're wasting precious energy that will have you turn the other way into disbelief that anything will ever change because you haven't proven it to yourself yet. You're right. Nothing has changed. You're staying up here on the surface.
I talk a lot about imperfect action. So if you can imagine to what this hand here is learning. So it's learning. And what happens is the knowledge gap gets so big that one or two things happens. You've learned so much that you forgot the stuff. So you're so advanced, you forgot the stuff that's actually important here now, or whatever it is that you need to do has changed. Whereas I'm an advocate of learn, action, and literally progress in that way. Because it's interesting. So if you ask me, Shari, and it'd be interesting to get your opinion on this. If you asked me 4 years ago on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I know about personal development? I'd have told you 8 out of 10.
Oh, I probably would have said 9, cocky shit that I am. That I was, I should say.
Now, if you ask me now, it's 2 out of 10. You know, so for me, and I know a thing or two about personal. I study, but it's not enough. You know, but what it is the case is that there's always going to be more. You know, there's always going to be more. There's always going to be something different. There's always going to be a different perspective, a different view, whatever. But if you're not making the progress, and this is where you said before, like the action side of things, and I don't know how much you know about the way Make It Happen got going, but long story short, I decided I wanted to create a personal development business. I registered a limited company. I went and set up a bank account the next day. I did nothing for 2 years. And it was only when I had a big lightning moment a couple of years later was when I decided to post a quote a day on social media. So I literally posted a quote a day on social media for a week. And I was like, well, you idiot. Some people only go on social media in the evening. So you need to do 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. So I did 2 a day for a week. Then I set up a website. Then I set up a blog. Then 3 months later, we had a 10,000 strong social media following, and it's evolved and developed from there. But if I hadn't of posted that quote, because the quote was like the thread, you know, the posting quotes was never going to change my life, but it was the thread, like putting the thread on a jumper that makes the whole thing unravel, because it enables you to start that momentum, start that snowball approach. The
other piece that I really want to highlight from what you just said, and I really hope people listen, because people can look at you and me and all the other people out there doing whatever they're doing and say, I want that. We didn't have this. I didn't have this. I didn't have this business. I was a single mom with no personal development. I was an artist and a stay-at-home mother. I had none of this. I built it in 6 years. So I'd like my results now too back then. I'd like them a year ago also. I'd also like my results for next year, for this year now, please. Thank you, universe. I don't have it yet. So who you were at the time where you started with that 1 social media post and 2 social media posts is of equal bravery as who you are now, putting on the big extravaganzas that you amazingly put on. It's the same percentage of bravery. So in that pulling the thread, you then become the person on the journey who can do the bigger thing. If someone had handed you even a check to be able to go do what you do now, you weren't yet that person. It's again that scaffold. You couldn't have done it. The wheels would have fallen off somehow.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. So true. So one thing I want to do, because we've kind of got in the habit of doing this, I'm going to do this now, is get a selfie with you live whilst we're on. It's almost like when you see people at the Brits or the Oscars and something, they get the photo on stage, like everyone there. I'm gonna get it while Shari's here, if I get my camera turned around the right way. So we've got Shari online, hopefully. There we go. We've done that now. Tick that box. Otherwise, I forget if I try and do it at the end.
Also, you're good.
I literally click end, and then I'm like, I forgot to get the photo. Cool. Learn action. Amanda said learn action. Love that. So that's good. All right, cool. So then one of the other key things of the Maverick Way is what you've got a rinse and repeat process to get faster results or get better results. What's that? I'm interested. I'm curious. I'm sure everybody else is too.
So this one, it's funny because I'm sounding very systemized, and people, if you ever follow me and be like, those are the only two systems Shari ever had, is the compass and this one, scaffold of satisfaction. I am a real realist. I am a jaded New Yorker, and I did not have this life. I didn't believe in any of this. Had I met myself 10 years ago, I'd have been like, leave me alone or give me whatever you're smoking, lady. I don't know what on earth you're doing. So I know how hard it is to move into this. So we can get these big heady ideas of the big idea. We can say information versus transformation. And then we've got to live in it every day. And we have to stay committed. Staying committed is really hard. So this scaffold of satisfaction, if you picture a traffic light and you've got, the three colors, you've got to go threefold. Knowing what you crave, that feeds your sense of identity. By law, if something is outside of who you think you are not going to do it. Plain and simple. I don't care how we dress it up. I don't care how many pyrotechnics there are. You will not integrate it into who you are because your sense of identity is your reptilian brain way of staying safe. Screw you, leave me alone. That doesn't belong to me. I'm not taking it. So I could go pretend I'm going to be someone, but if it's out of alignment of my sense of self, which could be strong or weak, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. In a great way, if I have a strong sense of identity and I know exactly who I am, my Maverick version of me, nothing can knock me off. My little small girl version of me, old Shari, you can flick me over in a second, the second something doesn't go right. See, I told you this wasn't going to work. So we've all got both sides of that dichotomy. From that sense of who you are, knowing what you crave, that feeds that identity that you want. What are the moves you can make to become that more Maverick version of yourself, and know that if you don't crave it, you can't force it. So move into feeling to doing rather than doing and hoping the feeling shows up. So does that make sense before I move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, this is a doozy for me. Getting your giving and receiving barometer in check. I am by nature an overgiver. I like to give everyone everything. For years in my business, I had no success, although on the front end I did, because I moved into the friend zone. I gave everything for free. I helped everyone for free. They changed their lives and then went on to hire their next business coach. And I'm just sitting there with no money in my bank account and lots of really happy people, which I loved. But it burns you out. It drains you. And this is in every area of life or business. If you cannot find the self-worth to receive, and it doesn't have to be an equal measure, it has to be present, to learn to receive, to learn to allow other people to give and help and ask for support as well as give, your results will match your willingness to shift that barometer. Fact, every single time.
Love that.
As soon as I get better at receiving, all of a sudden a new client lands in my lap. The second I start gripping and over giving, dry well.
Yeah, I have an affirmation that I read most days, and it is I'm focused on fair exchange. With fair exchange, everyone wins. Because it is. You can go to the other spectrum, like you say, of I want to give. But if you're only ever giving, then you're not allowing people to give to you. A mutual friend of ours, I think he put this perfectly the other day. So Dan Meredith. Shared a post the other day about a guy that worked in Starbucks and was like, look, I love your book. It's amazing. Let me buy you a coffee. And he could have very easily said, look, mate, don't worry about it. It's cool. But he didn't. He was like, look, this young lad who worked at Starbucks it probably cost him half his hourly wage to buy him this coffee, but he wanted to do it. And I thought, you know what, that's such a great, that is such a great example, accepting, inviting to receive into your life. Whereas if you poo-poo everything, the other one that I think is great, and I don't want to sort of go on too much, but something that so many people do is when someone gives someone a compliment, they're like, "Oh no, I don't," or they just chuck it straight back. And someone goes, "You got nice hair." "Oh no, you've got lovely hair," or "Oh no, I love your shoes," or they just chuck it straight back rather than just go, "Thank you." You know, and it's
and this is I struggle with this. This is very hard for me, and I've learned that even when I got the other stuff right, without this, the rest of it doesn't work. So this, because resentment builds, and then we start to not feel like anything's working, and we don't want to waste all of that energy. Ooh, are you there, Will?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I don't see you. Weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's strange. So that give-receive thing is really, really key. And it's in a pattern that works for you. Do not rip any plasters off that you don't feel ready. Don't fast forward a process that makes you feel unsafe, but start to notice how often are you giving? What do you feel like when you're receiving? And start to play around with that barometer, with that gauge. That changes, because if you are resentful and then you want more abundance and you want more satisfaction, you can't get it if your fists are clenched. And then the last piece is follow the clues, both in people, experiences, and places. They're 2 words, a drain or a fountain, and it's that simple. We all know the answer. Is this person a drain or a fountain? Do they fuel me? Do they inspire me? Do they add to my life? Or do they drain the ever-living crap out of me? As an empath, I can give my power away very easily and call it love and attention and care and support. And I damn well know what I'm doing if I just stop and say fountain or drain. So because our brains like to chew on philosophies and change actions to fit into what will keep us safe, these little quick things, in a moment when you're not sure, in a moment when you want to make a decision, you can just throw out fountain and drain, and then suddenly you know a clue of what am I moving forward and what am I moving back on. Otherwise, I mean, I've landed in wrong business partnerships because their words said something and their actions didn't, and I listened to their words because I assumed people were like me. They're not. I don't regret it. I learned a lot about this because we all know far more than we'd like to admit. So move into your knowing. I'm not saying don't follow people who inspire you. Not saying don't hire a mentor to help you. Use what you have first, because it will only amplify the results you'll get in the work, is if you are not waiting for somebody to save you, if you are implementing and utilizing all of these activations, all of these transformations, and then you go get the missing pieces for yourself.
Cool. Love that. Love that. So this has been fantastic so far. I've got a couple of other questions that I want to ask you. But guys, we will be rounding up shortly. So if you have got any questions, or if there's anything that you want to ask Shari, then please comment them. Or additionally to that, if there's anything that's really stood out to you that Shari said, please let us know so I can let her know that it's been really, really great, that it's been really, really useful for you, because I'm sure she'll be grateful. But if there's one thing that you have found to have the biggest impact on your life since you've been doing this work and working with the clients you work with, and the one thing, if you could only give one tool or get your clients to do one thing that you have found in your experience has the biggest impact on their life in being a maverick and successfully being a maverick, what's that one thing?
You guys are not going to like this one because it's the hardest, easiest thing to do. Make space. There is no room for any growth or transformation without making space. Decluttering the negative people in your life. Being open and honest about where you spend your time. Space for self-care, which is something that I work very hard on as an overgiver. Without that space, you could have the best business plan, the best gym plan, the best financial plan, the best food plan. You're not going to do it. There is no room. So while you transform, make more space. So the busier you get, make equal amount of space. Otherwise, your growth will be stunted immediately, every time, no matter how much you know. This I find very hard because naturally, the better things are going, the more opportunities there are. and it's hard to say no. It feels great to say yes and be wanted and be asked. And it's, a human condition. We like to be connected and included. But at what cost is every move that you make, every conversation that you have is data into the recipe. And if you walk around collecting pieces of crap all day long, it is what your cake will be filled with. So be very mindful of who is in your space, who is in your circle, what you allow in your ears. I know it sounds weird. You don't have to go crazy, but like, think of the word of the song lyrics that we listen to all the time. I mean, I'm a big music person, and now I'm more intentional, and I listen and I know what I'm doing, and I'll laugh at myself and be like, wow, I just listened to that for an hour, and then I wonder why I don't feel well. There's a Japanese researcher years ago, his name is Emoto. I don't know if you've ever seen it, the effect of energy on water. So it was like heavy metal and the water, the composition of the water molecules actually changed. This stuff is powerful, how you speak to yourself, how you allow other people to speak to you. It doesn't rush off. It doesn't matter how many books you read or how many times you chant your affirmations. Our everyday lives are most of what our problems are because we live unconsciously most of the time. So you don't have to sit in it all the time, but that mindfulness of how am I making space? What am I allowing into my space? And then there'll be more room for these seeds to nestle in.
Love that. And to use the music example is that music without silence is just noise. So having those gaps, like you said, whether it's the space around you, space for yourself, thinking space, whatever it is very, very powerful indeed. Very, very powerful indeed. So Teresa said, thanks, Shari. Your honesty and realness has given me a real sigh of relief. Like I said to you guys, one of the many things I love about Shari, as well as being incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly energetic, is the fact that you keep it real. You say things,
you'll see me on a bad day. You get the good days and the bad days. I can't do it any other way. It just doesn't resonate with me.
Good. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. So if people have thought, you know what, I love this little pocket rocket, and I want to find out more about her and what she's up to, where can people find you, and where do you hang out on the social media?
I hang out mainly Facebook and Instagram, Shari D. Teigman. For any of you guys who are interested, I'm actually on Monday, I'm starting a free challenge, totally free pop-up Facebook group called Unlock Your Inner CEO. And I'm really going to go into, I teach both life and business, but this is a more business focused because I know it's that time of year, post-summer, everyone just realized it's September and they're crapping themselves that Christmas is coming, but we still do have 4 months, 3.5 months. So if people want more of this, tons of free videos on my Facebook page, on Instagram. I've got a couple of free opt-ins on procrastination. Come to my website. My website's old. Don't go to my website. Go to my social media. I'm working on that. Come introduce yourselves. Friend me. I would love to meet anyone who's around here. I like to make new friends, learn about you. I'm a believer. I don't believe in competition. Collaboration is my thing. You've got 2 mindset coaches right here, loving each other and amplifying the change that we can make in the world. So I like to facilitate as much as that as possible. And even if someone is not as quote unquote far along as they may think I am from social media, I have something to learn from everybody. So I love new friends and I love new conversations. So please feel free to reach out to me, connect with me. I'd love to hear what you took away. Any questions you have, I'm here. Well, I'm also happy. I'd love to join the group anyway, but if you want me to come in, and anyone who's watching the replay, I'm happy to answer questions as well, hang around and support. I'm more than happy to.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, no, we'll get you added in. So, and for everyone that's maybe not in it already, obviously I did put the link in the chat, but it is the Make It Happen community. So the Make It Happen community, where we've got a whole load of stuff that's going on, and you'll get access to various different bits and bobs. So yeah, cool. Shari, thank you so much for coming online this evening, and I look forward to when we get to actually catch up in person, which
Absolutely.
I know won't be too long. And yeah, a few more thank yous coming through. Thank you, Shari. Really refreshing. And a few others coming along. Can you put this? Yes, I can. Can I put your details in the thread? So it's basically Shari D Teigam. Obviously to search, or Instagram is just the same, right?
Yeah.
Shari.
You'll see my mug.
Shari D Teigman. There you go. For I wonder if that's gonna let me. I wonder if it lets me add your page. No, it's not letting me. Anyway, cool. Oh no, it didn't work. Typical. Shari. We're gonna get this done.
Thank you.
I'll sort it afterwards.
That's nice.
No, anyway, sorted. Cool. So yeah, thank you very much. Shari, it's been a pleasure. Guys, thank you for everyone that's tuned in. I hope you found it valuable. We'll be back next month with another rules webinar, and I'll have the pleasure of having another guest. So Shari, once again, thank you. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you so much. I loved having it. I love the conversation, and to be continued.
It will do. Okay, thanks guys. Until next time, make it happen.